Happy Halloween!
Hey friends, how's it going? Today we're going to go over this little graveyard scene I created. Most everything here is simple, easy carves, and we should be able to whip through this pretty quick. But this is just something I just put together and thought I would share it with y'all. And we'll take you through the steps on how I created it. Now yours might look a little different, and that's fine. But hopefully you can take some of these ideas and maybe create your own scene. So if you do, send me a pic of it and let me know, what you came up with. But this was just on a whim. I'm trying to with this channel. I'm trying to do simple, easy carves for people that are beginners. I've only been carving for about 2 years myself, so I still consider myself a beginner. But I'm looking for things that are easy to carve and quick carves, and wanted to put together some elements just to create a little scene. Personally, I like to create little scenes with my carvings, and we'll do that throughout these videos. We'll create some scenes, but mostly these are all easy carves, so we should be able to whip through it pretty quick. So let's go over some of the elements involved in this. First, most of the stuff that I carved here, I just went out to my scrap box and found scraps. I have a little garbage can that when I cut rough out down, I'll throw the scraps in, and then one day, I'll go out there and just pick something up and be like, what can I carve today out of this scrap? So that's kind of a fun thing to do, especially when you do a lot of bandsaw cutting or scroll saw cutting. You'll come up with a lot of little scraps. So I usually just take a little garbage can. It's like a white kitchen garbage can, and I just throw all my scraps in there. And you never know, you'll always end up finding little things you can do out of your scraps. But let's get on with the scene. So what you're going to need, now I got this base. I got this from, I think it was Michael's or Hobby Lobby, one of those places you can buy these basswood discs, pretty much, platforms, whatever you want to call them. You can also find them on Amazon. I think they're like 11 to 14 bucks. This one measures like 14 inches. So it's like, I think it's like 10 by 14. Or if you have a chainsaw, you can just go out with your chainsaw and cut you a disc, sort of like this. And I just cut this out of a piece of oak firewood I had out there from a big oak tree that fell down. And it's still kind of a little damp inside, so I'm letting that one dry, but that's what we're going to use for the base on this one we're creating, because as soon as I created this, I've had like 3 people like, oh, can you do me one? So we're going to use this one as a visual reference, and I'm going to create another one. So this one actually belongs to the wife, because as soon as she seen it, she was like, that's mine. And she usually does that with most of my carvings, which is fine, because I enjoy carving to just create things for people. Especially with the holidays coming up, we'll be creating a bunch of stuff. So here we are with this graveyard scene, and let me show you what else we're going to use. We're going to take, you can get this stuff at I got this at our feed store, because they have a place where they you can create all the stuff, you can get all the stuff to create a little fairy garden or whatever. So that's kind of where I found that. Was in where they create the fairy garden stuff. It's called Instant Green, and you can use it for all kinds of different stuff. But I think you can find this probably online as well. I'm sure Amazon has it. But that's what I used for my base, and I just had some spray mount glue, so I sprayed it down real good and worked all the ridges and bubbles out of it and let it set and dry. The tree was just, I went out to my yard and found Actually, it was a catawba tree, and I got a branch off of it, a dried dead branch, and drilled a little hole and stuck that in there. So those are kind of some things you can come up with on your own to create your base. Um, so we're going to try to get through all these pieces fast. I doubt I'll be able to do it all in one video, but we'll see. Maybe I can edit the video down to some or time lapse a few things just to get you through it. But it's all simple elements that you can create in a matter of like 20 minutes to a half hour per piece. Hope you enjoy these videos, and the challenge for me is to come up with things that other carvers haven't already done. So that's why it might take me a little longer to get a video out. But I want to create things that other people haven't done, and hopefully you'll enjoy these. Most of them are all going to be in the beginning is just stuff for beginner carvers, because I hope I can inspire you to pick up a knife, get a piece of basswood, and start carving something. With the YouTube, there's tons of YouTube carvers coming up, and there's just lots of projects on there that you can carve. So the challenge for me, like I said, is to come up with things that other carvers haven't done yet. So this is what I came up with, the graveyard scene. So let's get started and get to carving. Okay, let's get started. First thing, drop your knife. Okay, one thing about stropping that I've learned is not to press too hard. Okay, because you got to think that leather is soft. So when I press really hard on the knife, I'm pushing it down into the leather so much that I'm actually not even taking the edge off. I'm more or less rounding the edge. So one thing I've learned about stropping is to strop soft and easy and just drag that blade across there, across your leather. And if you're pressing really hard, you're probably going to round off your tips, your edges. So I've already had to go back with a little real fine, soft emery cloth. It's about 2,000 grit, and put a little bit of an edge back on my knives because I was pressing too hard when I stropped. Okay. If you've watched some of my videos, I'm a big fan of these flex cut knives. I do have a Lions knife made by Lions, and I really like that too as my detail knife, and it has a little bit of a curved blade, so I'll show you that in a minute as we'll round up these carvings. Okay, alright, so what I did was I found a strip of basically, I think this is like a 1/2 inch thick. Okay, 1/2 inch by, this one's a little bit over 3, about 3 1/16, which no big deal. You don't have to have all your tombstones look the same. They can be a little different. You can even come up with different ideas of what I did than what I did. It's after I did them, I actually thought, man, I could have done this and I could have done that. You always do. That's what carving, sometimes you never know when you're finished with a carving because you keep coming up with ideas of things you can do. So anyway, I got 3 of these here, and we're going to do something really simple. If you can see them, I have them glued down, not all the pieces glued down, because I wanted to be able to pick them up and show you guys. But my tombstones I have in here, they're glued down. And basically I just cut the green away, put a little super glue on there, and tacked them down with some super glue. Actually, I think I used wood glue on those. And but super glue, wood glue, whatever you want to do, it just keeps them from falling over all the time. and I'll glue all these pieces down once I get done with the video. But I wanted to be able to pick them up, so I didn't glue everything down. But basically, we're just going to round these edges off, okay? Taking all the factory smooth edges off so it looks like it's got a little shape to it. So we're going to curve it, and I kind of went off of just, my mind, what I thought a tombstone would look like on here. So, they're not all perfectly the same size. And you can start off with these size blocks, Like I said, I think, see how wide I got them. It's a little over, it's 3/4 of an inch wide, 1/2 inch thick, and 3 inches tall, roughly. All right, so like I said, these were just scraps I pulled out of my box, out of my little garbage can with scraps in it. And just what can I make out of these scraps? And this is what I came up with. So we'll fix. All right. Now, another tool that I've been using, and I got this on Amazon. Just search for plastic circle guides or whatever. And these things are pretty cool because they have a lot of different shapes on there. And I'm not much of an artist, at all. But these little shapes will help you quickly draw up some templates. There's different size triangles, squares, octagons, hexagons, lines, little rectangles, big rectangles. So these might help you if you're not a very good artist like me. There's a protractor type, got the curves on it, different shapes of ovals, little narrow ovals, big fat ovals, stop signs, I don't know what you call that, but diamonds. But I got this whole set, and I think it was like $8 or something on Amazon. There's different shapes there. I don't know how well that's showing up on the camera, but anyway, these guides were kind of cool for if you want to draw a perfect circle. You can use this guide in different sizes, which I'll show you how I did when I used it. And basically, I wanted to get a shape on top of my tombstones. So I pretty much just took this guide right here and got it to where I had pretty even. Try to keep that in the camera. Pretty even, and my corners almost made it all the way. And then just draw that on there. Okay. That kind of gives me a shape to go by for the top of my tombstones. So again, you got different size curves, so depending on how big you want to make your piece. Let me grab a pencil. Okay, got a pencil here. Now, I'm going to take this little guide and just line it up at the very top up there. And draw this top curve right there. Now, a lot of these are like, well, can't I just do this? Yeah, you can. Just take and draw your corners off there. Because no matter what you start off with drawing, once you get to carving it, you look at it over and over again. And most of the time, it won't even be like what you drew out the first time. All right, so basically, we're gonna using push cuts. I'm gonna take these tips and corners off, and I'll just demonstrate one tombstone, and you can make your own 3. And I'll explain to you a few things that I did on mine. But basically, you just get the corners off of there. And the corners are probably going to chunk on you. So, be careful. Put your glove on if you're new. If you're comfortable with the glove, use the glove. If you don't use your glove, which is your own choice, use proper cutting techniques. Minimize the risk. Alright, so got a little bit of a curve there, and go around, take all these edges off, and just start rounding it around, front and back. And these are going to be quick, you know. Spend as much time as you want, but mostly we're going to just get this thing, take all the factory edges off of it. And it don't even have to be perfect. That's what the cool thing is about carving that I've learned is, you know, you're trying to make it perfect, but sometimes perfect is hard to achieve, and even if it's not perfect, it looks sometimes better. So just have fun chipping away. All these flat spots. Just put a little bit of a curvature to them, just enough to, like I said, clean all that up. Use your push cuts, use your paring cuts. Give it that flat, plain, carved look. Most of my carvings, I usually never take a sander to anything. Or a Dremel tool or anything like that. I want that flat, plain, chipped, carved look. I'm not going to carve the bottom because I want to keep that flat, so when it sits down on there I can get a good contact with my glue. So basically just go across and shave these rough cuts off. If you mess up a little bit on one side, it's okay. I think for me, when I first started learning to carve, the big thing was trying to do everything without messing up. And the nice thing about carving wood, as one of my carving buddies told us, if you mess up a face, there's always a face under a face. So you just carve it off and start again. When you come to a spot where it feels like it's gonna dig down in too far, turn it the other direction. Okay, so we're almost there. The first one. So do 3, do 4, whatever you want to do. I did, on mine, I did 3 tombstones. And just painted some little RIP and BRB on there, be right back. You can put whatever you want on there. But I was basically just trying to get that tombstone look, old tombstone look. I just wanted to shave off this just a little bit to give it a kind of roughed in look. As you can see right there, I started to dig, go back, shave the other direction. Keep your hand underneath your carving. And you can probably create 2 of these, and because as soon as somebody sees them, they're going to want you to carve them one. Just rough it up. So there you go. Just got a rough look to it. A little bit of slice back here. Still, let's get this off there. That's the thing about carving. Like I said earlier, you're never done, really. It's hard to finish because you're always like, take this off a little bit more, round this just a little bit more. And sometimes you just got to tell yourself, all right, you're done. I'm done with it. Move on to something else, right? All right. So there we go. That's our first little tombstone. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of, we want to create like a raised template look, like the stone is raised right there. So this is where that little guide comes in again, which I like. There's different sizes here, and you can just find one that you like. And draw you a quick little template on there. Now we're going to take our we'll just do it with the knife. Let's do it with the knife. So we're going to take our knife tip, stick it down in there, follow the line. So I'm trying my best to keep it in the camera, guys. That's my biggest challenge, I think, is trying to get my camera angles right so that everybody can see what I'm doing. And if you carve already, you know that comfortable carving position is not for a camera. Alright, so just made my stop cut around there. I'm just going to go back. Cut up to that stop. And the camera always doesn't give you the best three-dimensional look that you can see with the eye. So what you see on the camera always doesn't look as raised as it does when you're holding it in your hand. So that edge is usually not as pronounced on a camera view as it is when you're looking at it. Basically, I'm going to cut this down. and shave up to my stop cut. Then I'll just come back and blend everything a little bit. Being careful not to hit my edges. Keep clean. Okay, so we're just going to cut down. Now let's... Okay, so if you want to get different edges, you can use your V tool. That's why I didn't cut that one real deep, because I wanted you to be able to see the difference that I can make with just by sliding across with my V tool. And we'll paint everything in the end. I'm not sure how many videos we're going to end up with, but I'll promise you I'll try to keep them short and fast so you can get through. Before Halloween, anyway. Okay, so here we go. That's my little raised plate. I can put something on there. Another thing, like I did on the other one, was put another little box inside of this one, so I could take a smaller template, or I can just take my pencil and just come in here. I just thought the template might help some of you people that maybe can't draw a circle like me, or can't draw a square. Alright, so you can take that. Then another thing you can do is use a different size V tool. So this one is, I believe this is 5. I think it's a 4. Then take a smaller V tool, and now I can come in here and hit this one more time. And give it that 3-dimensional look. And I really like these little flex cut, the micro set. There's four little ones in there. I know a lot of people like the Docker tools. I usually just, because my woodcraft store sells flex cut, you know, and flex cut are good tools. They really make a good quality tool, and they're replaceable, so if something happens to it, I can always send it in and get a replacement. Alright, but here's a little tiny V. And I can go in there. And clean that up a little bit. That's one thing about these, you can use them like when you get fuzzies and stuff inside from where you cut too many times. These are nice little tools because you can go in there and kind of clean some of that up. So it's a 4 set of V's, micro V's. Really like them. And then I used the Swiss made from Actually, these are Austrian Vitols from Dubai. Alright, so we need to create 3 more, or 2 more. So we got 1 created already, but you guys can do that on your own, and we'll come back and do another one, just to give you that little fresh dirt look. Okay, look right here. Get this in the camera here. Basically, this was a fresh grave, fresh grave site, and basically what I did was I took a block, and I'm going to glue it down like I said, but took a block, rounded over all the way around, covered it with glue, went out to my garden, and just covered it with dirt. Kept putting some dirt on it until it was all completely covered and dry. Actually, I put the glue on it and kind of chopped up the dirt so it was really fine, and then I just stuck this down in the dirt with the glue on it, and it pretty much covered it. Picked it back up and then just went back and sprinkled some dirt on there to give it that fresh grave look. Alright, so basically just take and get your little block, and this one was a little thicker for my raised grave. This one was, yeah, it's a 1/2 inch as well. 1/2 inch by 2 5/8 by inch and 3/8. So, I'll put us on my website, basswoodcarving.com. I'll put up a sheet with all the dimensions on it, because usually I do a blog post on the website covering the carvings, so that way I can put all the details in there as far as sizes of the project. But you can make, depending on what size your base is, you can make, there's really no particular size you have to do it. You just kind of want to make it all kind of look uniform. I think for me, I kind of just took what scraps I had and made it out of that, and just kind of proportionally size things up by eye, but just take and round this stuff off. Carve it down to some kind of a hump. And it's going to look a lot higher once you put the dirt on it. So if you look at it the first time and you're like, oh, I don't know if that's going to look high, like it's raised enough. Trust me, once you put the glue and the dirt on it, it's going to look just fine. And there again, doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's kind of what the fun of caricature type carving is that it doesn't have to look perfect. So if you're a beginner, it can be a little messed up in your eyes, but look fine to somebody else. It's just easy carves for beginners. experienced carvers can whip right through this one. Probably even come up with some better ideas, you know, but that's fine. Like I said, send me a pic. Emails in the description. And on the website, basswoodcarving.com. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got one tombstone. We got the fresh grave. Go ahead and cut two more. Carve out two more tombstones. And I think next we'll do the bats. Okay, so by now you should have your 3 tombstones done. And we're going to get started with the little bats. Alright, so let me see if I can get this up here where you can see the little bats. Alright, we got one little bat sitting here on the top of the tombstone. Alright, and then we got one hanging over here in the tree. So they're 2 different bats, but they're quick little simple carves. Alright, so to do that, I had a couple little pieces of clip art to help me, and we're just going to transfer that onto the little blocks of scrap wood. Alright, and I'll put these on the website so you can download the PDF file to print these out and use them as transfers for your bats, or you can just draw your own bats if you want to draw your own bats. The way we're going to transfer this again is I've got two little scrap pieces here. I'll measure them out for you real quick. This one's just about 4.5 inches, and it's only about 3/4 of an inch wide, and again about 1/2 inch thick. So we'll round that down. The other little block is this little scrap about 2.5 inches tall, 1.5 wide, and there again 1/2 inch thick. So most all these pieces used a 1/2 inch thick piece of basswood. Alright, so now the way we're going to get the pattern on there is we're going to use some carbon paper. So if you've never used carbon paper or know what that is, it's really called typewriter paper, but you can get it like a pack of it on Amazon for real cheap, few bucks or whatever. So we're gonna take and lay that on there just like so. You can kind of fold it if you want to see exactly where your piece of wood is. Put this on and make sure I've got enough room to get the whole thing on there. And if you cut your pattern down just about the size of your wood, you should be alright getting it on there. So we got that, and you can always redraw it if you mess it up. Use a pen when you transfer these because the pen tip is a little harder and it pushes through and gives you a little better imprint. Alright, so just lay it on there, and I'm just going to trace around. And this is just to kind of give me a little starting guide to go by. We'll shape it up with our knife and make it look somewhat close to the pattern. Alright, so just by going over these lines with the pen, I'm going to transfer that image on there. Like so. And then always on the feet, make the feet a little longer. You can always trim it down a little bit. Just make it a little longer to start. Those are going to be your critical spots because that'll be what ends up chipping out on you if you're not careful. Alright, so we got the bat number 1 on there, just like so, if you can see that. Alright, let's get the... Okay, so with this little block, we're going to draw the second little bat on there. Like I said, you can fold it down so you can actually see where your sides are. Get your piece in there. Your pen, pressure down on the pen to get a good transfer. Make the feet a little longer so that way you, on this one, that you can have it hang on the branch. And this is just a little rough drawing, as you can shape that in once you start carving. Don't have to be perfect, because we already know what we want it to look like. So there we are. We might as well start with this one. And this one I'm going to use my lion's knife because it has the curved blade to it. And it helps when you're doing swooping cuts. Like I want to swoop down in here to get that shape of my bat. And this one is really sharp, so I don't want to get too crazy too fast. Working with these little pieces is going to make you a good detail carver. The little ones are hard to hold on to, and it also makes you take your time. So I'm basically trying to just come up to my line. Up here at the top, I'm going to make a little stop cut in. So I want to cut in, but I don't want to, I want to make sure that I don't start hacking too hard once I get down to the final line. Take your time, because you don't want to do all this work and then chip off a little piece. Just nice little slow carve, taking off a little bit at a time, getting it close. Get it close, then I can round it off a little bit. Just make stop cuts and swooping cuts with the knife in and up. I'm doing this, in and up. Taking off little pieces at a time. I don't want to chunk off a big piece, like I said, and have to start all over again. Once I get close, I make a little stop cut right here. V-cut there, and come right here. Take some more off up here. keep it in the camera for you guys. If you're new to carving, like I said, you might want to definitely have your gloves on working with these little pieces, just so you don't get whacked. Like I said, I'll put the patterns on the website, woodcarving.com is where you'll be able to find these measurements, and whatever patterns I have, I'll give you. Or if you want to find another little clip art that you want to use, maybe you want to use a different bat, you can do that as well. Okay, let's get these feet down now. We're almost there. This is a couple quick little bats. Okay, so I'm going to leave the feet. Right now I'm going to leave the feet a little long. That gives me something to hold on to when I turn my piece around. Start working on the ears. And we'll come back and finish that. But you can see I'm just trying to follow my little pattern. Get as close as I can to the line without taking the line off. Okay, starting to look like something. Okay, let's get the ears. I'm going to do a stop cut. And a V cut. We're just going to keep working that down like that. Down till I get the point of it down in there. Right on that end grain on the ears. So it's a tough one, but we'll get it. Just keep V cutting down in there, nice and slow. Till I get close. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, look at it from all different angles, just to make sure you're keeping everything in proportions. Gotta take a little more off back here. Okay, so we're pretty much up to all of our lines, and now we're going to start rounding it a little bit, because we want to round it, and then we're going to put a seam down the middle where the two wings come together, and we're going to drop the head in a little bit. So first thing, we'll just go around and just round off a little bit of those edges, and we'll probably have to reshape a little bit the insides, but right now we just want to get a little bit more of a little better shape here. So basically now we're just gonna kind of round it just enough to take those pencil marks off and the factory cuts. Okay, just enough that we just get the factory wood off. When I say factory, what I'm meaning is like the milled edge, the cut edge of the wood from the factory when it was milled down to pieces. Just want to give it a little bit of shape. Like I said before, working on these little pieces is where you'll really get good with your detail carving. Once you start doing a cowboy or something, you'll be able to do just little minute cuts when you need to. Okay, so almost got the top here. Most of it off. I want to leave a little point here and a little point here. That's kind of the tips of the wings where they come together. Now it's going to start taking off, shaping out the top of the head a little bit without losing my point. Like I said, this is where you'll chip it off if you're not careful, and then you'll be starting all over. Keep moving around, looking at your shape, just to make sure you're still in there. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing with the back. Just gonna round the back a little bit. And really, until it's painted, you're gonna be like, that doesn't look like a bat. But kind of once you get it painted and get it up there in the right spot, it looks pretty good. A couple little details marks that we're gonna put on it is what really gives it that look of a hanging bat. And as you take off these edges to make it a little round, you have to go back and take it in a little bit more, deeper on the head and the wings to keep your shape. Okay. Like I said, we're going to leave the feet on there. That's going to be the last little notch we make in it. So we kind of got something to hold on to. Alright, so where's my pen? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and make a V by the head. And then we're going to bring the wing down. I'll show it to you as soon as I get it drawn on there. And it don't have to be straight. If it's got a little curvature to it, that's fine. Okay, so just kind of do something like that. Alright. And we're going to take a stop cut right here. A stop cut. Use your thumb against your blade. That way you'll have good control with your knife. Just take a little bit, little bitty cuts. Like I said before, these little pieces are a challenge, holding them and carving them. but they'll make you a good detail carver because you learn how to do little cuts, little easy soft cuts. Okay, now we're going to roll this back a little bit more so it sits back behind the wings. We might even have to make our stop a little deeper right here. Just focusing on that part of the head right there. If you've got a detail knife, use your detail knife. If it's got a little tip on it, a little point on it. Okay. Back here and clean this back up a little bit. Be careful right here. You don't want to chip an ear off. Use your thumb. Take your time. Okay. Now I can make that point a little more definite. Okay. See how the head sits back a little bit? Okay. I'm going to cut this side down a little bit more just to make that head separation a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm going to take and make a follow down this line of my wing. And I want one side to look like it's overlapping the other. So once I make my stop cut right here, another thing is when you make your cut, depending on how I want this to overlap, I'm going to angle my cut out a little bit. So instead of going straight down and in, I'm kind of going to angle my cut this way to the outside. I hope you can see that good enough. So one more time, we'll go back through it. I've got my knife tilted a little bit this way. Come down. Now I'm going to come back in here and just take that little sliver out. Right there. Now just round that edge just a little bit. Just enough to take the pen marks off. And that sharp little edge right there, just round it in a little bit. Same way here, get the pen marks off. Okay, we're getting there. Alright, back here, just want to take this in. To kind of round it a little bit, just so you, if you see it from the back, it won't look like just a flat piece of wood right there. So just round that in a little bit. Being careful. You don't want to chip little pieces off. Round this back side down just a little bit in. Okay. Alright, last thing we gotta do is the feet. So we're gonna take this off right here. Okay. And then we're gonna come down from our line and split that. And then we're just gonna make a V cut in there. Yeah, if I want, I can take my little gouge, my little V tool, start getting it separated. Alright, so now on the back, I'm going to put a hook notch. Being careful not to go all the way through. Take my legs completely off. And that's going to depend on how big your branch is too, that you hang it from. So you can go back and kind of adjust that when you get, if you got your branch and everything. But pretty much I want to get a little spot right here. In that I can hook it. And a spot for it to glue. Okay. So There again, be careful right here. You don't want to have to start all over. Just do little cuts. Just to show a little bit of separation right there is all you need. Okay, so there's our first little bat. He's all done, ready to go, ready for paint. And I just paint the little red eyes on there. Again, like I said, if you want to clean it up and make it a little more pronounced, you can use your little V tool if you have them. You can go around and clean it up a little bit. That's what I really like about these little guys, is I can get down in there and clean them up. So okay, there's our first bat is done. And we'll get ready to get started on the next one. Alright, so we're ready to start on the second little bat. We're almost there. We're getting there. Getting all of our pieces done. Not too bad. Don't take too long. Like I said, this will be my third one actually. So I'm getting a little quicker at it myself. Alright, so here we go. We got the third little bat, or the second little bat that's going to sit on top of the tombstone. Alright, and there again, I just used a scrap. Like I said, I'll put the printouts on there for you, and you'll be able to go by them to get a start, or you can just draw you a little bat on a scrap of wood. Whatever you'd like. But yeah, just use little scraps. Don't take a lot of wood. Have fun chipping it off. Don't take long if you got a good piece of wood. And you put the grain right. Try to just leave your end grains off on the smallest area that you have to. If you notice on this one, my grain's going this way, back and forth, this way. So I've got my longest cuts going this way. And since we're only using a 1/2 inch piece of thickness, the end grain's not too bad. You don't have a lot of end grain you have to deal with. Just take it down close to the line. Leave your line so you don't get it too small, too hard to handle. Once you get close, just go easy. You don't take off more than you want. Since you're using scrap, you can maybe find another piece of scrap if you mess up. No big deal. If you don't have scrap and you got some pieces of basswood, you probably get this done with a couple, all the little pieces, probably with maybe a couple 1x4s, something like that. Get a few pieces out of it. Swooping cuts help get you closer to your original shape. See how we're working our way in. Should we get close? All right. Then down in here, we'll just use stop cuts and V cuts to get our way down in there. Don't round too much until you get close to your lines. Be careful in these spots. This is where it'll break on you. See, working my way in. See, I'm working my way close to the lines. Each little spot. If you haven't checked out any of the other videos, check out the other videos and let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. I'm always open for constructive criticism, as long as it's to the positive nature. I'm kind of new to making videos, YouTube videos, so trying to give everybody a good learning videos. Hopefully you can see. Like I said before, it's probably the hardest part is because you're carving for the camera, but you're not really comfortable as you normally are if you're just sitting around carving, because you're all the time putting it up against your body or holding it closer or bringing it up to your eyes a little closer. I wear contacts, so for me, things closer are more blurry, so I usually have to have my readers just so I can see better. So sometimes you can get you a pair of readers, really help out if you're having a little trouble seeing the detail. Okay. Okay, see how we're starting to get that little bit of a wave. Just taking our time, trying not to get a cut, trying not to chip nothing off, and getting as close to what we want it to look like without finishing it, roughing it in, I guess you'd say. Okay. And we're going to leave, on this one, we're going to leave the bottom flat. We're not going to carve anything on this part right here. We're going to kind of leave that flat as we can so it'll set right on your tombstone. So this one's going to sit on there like so. And if you have to, you can get you a little flat spot right there to set it on and glue it on. I just used a couple little drops of super glue to hold it on there. What I mean is, don't have this little tiny spot of feet and it won't stay up there. Get this wing tip a little closer. Like I said, don't worry about going all the way down past the line, because that'll give you a little spot to round it off, and you'll be able to see your shape a little better till you start putting the detail cuts in. Okay, we're getting there. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Give me a like if you like my videos so far. That helps me with the YouTube algorithms. Gets me out there a little more so other carvers can find my videos, or maybe other beginners can find my videos. And so they can get involved in carving. The likes and subscribes and shares really help get a channel going. And since I'm new, I don't have many subscribers yet. And if you subscribe, you want to hit that notification bell. That'll tell you when I'm get a new video going up. I'm gonna really try to get a few up before Halloween, of the Halloween nature. So you got some little things you can carve for your Halloween. Alright, so yeah, see how we chipped off right there? So we got to be real careful now not to go too far. So here all we're going to do is put a little V cut in there. Just separate the feet I'm getting there. A lot of times I can just keep working my V cut down in here and then come back on the back side and even it up. Show you what I mean. Okay, so see how I got cut right in there? Now I can just come back here, turn this around so you can see it, and then I'm just going to V-cut this way, back here. Okay, same thing right here. Starting to look like a bat. So there again, cut it out at the front towards your lines. And come to the back side. Same thing. Just make them meet. Be careful not to break off your wing. Starting to get a little critical now. So any push too hard, twist, like especially right here, when you get down in here, you don't want to twist your knife too much because that will end up chipping something off, which might happen. Just try not to twist it and break it. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of a finished look going. Once I round the edges, you'll see the shape will start coming in. So I really like this lion's knife because I can get down in there with just the tip, and it's got a little fine point that lets me get in there, and it's also not as thick on the back side of the blade. So I can take little fine cuts out. get it deep down in there. If I'm not careful, I will break the wing right off. Okay? Alright, so now all we're going to do is just round the edges down a little bit. Just enough to take that pencil line off of there. If I do that enough on both sides, got a little extra right here. Start getting around rounded look, three-dimensional look. Just trust your eye. Use your eye. And I know the camera doesn't do much justice. Okay. Almost done with the bats. I think next we'll do the mummy. And the ghost. And we'll probably break these up into a couple videos. At least two. I think we're probably well over an hour now. You might hear my big old rooster out there in the background. I don't know if he's coming through on the sound or not. He's outside my studio. He decided to raise a little noise once I started recording. Plus, I think my battery's getting low. I'm probably going to have to take a break and charge them back up. So let me see if I can whip this one out real quick, finish her up. But just go around your bat, round him off, shape him up. Get all your pencil marks off. I think the nice thing I like about the YouTube videos is when I'm watching other carvers is that I can stop, give it a pause for a minute, take a break, and come back and start it back over and rewind it if I need to. So, you know, that's a good thing. As opposed to when you're in a class, unless you're filming the class, sometimes you get showed something or do something, or the instructor does something, and you wish you could see it one more time, which is what, like I said, is cool with the videos, because you can always go back and rewatch it. If you haven't checked out some of my videos, you know, I've got a few up there so far. I'm working on getting some more. I got a bunch of ideas now in the makings. But I thought since we had Halloween coming up, probably won't be many people going out because of the beer bug. Or you can sit out on your front porch while you're passing out candy and carve something up. While you're sitting around. Hope I'm staying in the camera there. I'm trying to. Okay, this one, I didn't set the head back in there like I did with the other one. And I'm getting some chipping going on down here at the bottom. So I have to cut this one a little deeper. And you might make three or four of these, or two of them, and they might not even all look the same. But that's okay. That's what's cool about carving, is they don't all have to look the same. Like I said, I think this is actually my third one, so I guarantee you that they all don't look the same exactly. So especially if you're making one for somebody or a couple of them, you know, it's kind of neat to change them a little bit from one to the other, so that that person doesn't have the same same as somebody else. Guarantee yours will probably look a little different. So like I said, please send me a photo, and you'll be able to find me on Facebook at Woodcarving, and Instagram. Set up my Instagram, so I'll let you know in the end of the video what the Instagram is. I can't remember if I did. I think I did Carver Guy 513. But if I can change it, I'll change it to Basswood Carving. On Instagram. Okay, so that just about wraps her up for the little bat. We'll come back in the next one, and we'll work on the mummy and the little ghost. Just keep looking at it. Keep messing with it till you get what you like. Okay, there's the little bat. There's the front. This will chip down a little bit. See, that's the thing. You can never quit. I always want to keep cutting at it. Keep seeing little things that you want to cut a little more, a little more. Alright. So I think we're going to end it there, guys. And this will be part 1 of the video. And we'll get part 2 up right away. So thanks for watching. Get your little bats done. Get your tombstones done. Should have 3 tombstones, 2 bats, and a fresh grave by now. Alright? So we'll see you in the next video.